we are for yet another unboxing, and this one is the MJX Hyper Go 1/14 scale short course truck. This thing is all-wheel drive, comes with a gyro, a 4400 kV 2852 brushless motor, a 2 to 3S 45 amp ESC, and a 2.2 kilogram steering servo, which I'm hoping is going to be enough for this little guy. So as you can see, it's got LED lights, it looks absolutely stunning. And for those of you playing at home, this is item number 14211. Let's get rid of that box and let's have a better look at this thing, because I'm really excited about this. I am so pumped. I'm really looking forward to running this little guy and just seeing what it's got to offer. I can already tell that there's a little bit of an issue with it, and we'll talk about that in a second. So I need squatting a bit. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's talk about what you actually get in the box when you get one of these. Of course, truck fully assembled, ready to go, radio, and some goodies. It does come with a spare set of tires. Now these are just white wheel tires, so if you want to do the white wheels, you can. Come standard with the black. I did open one of these up before we actually started filming this bit, just so that you can have a better look at it. I believe that these are 12mm hexes as well. The rubber compound actually feels pretty good, and it's the same as what's on there. So it's not like these are a soft compound and that's a hard compound, or vice versa. And the tread is identical as well. So it's really just the color of the wheels, and it just comes down to a preference. I kind of wish they would have gone with a slightly different tread, maybe more like a pin tread. That would have been better suited maybe on a RC track. That would have been a point of difference that I think would have been pretty cool, but you know, aesthetically, if you just want to change the wheels out and put white wheels on here, you can do that. It's entirely up to you. Now, one thing I will say is that these are very much modeled after a short course wheel and tire, right? Appropriately, it's a short course truck. The thing is, because it's such a small scale, there's really no flex on the rubber on the inner part of the wheel. So it's like super hard over here, and then it starts to flex as we get a higher, bigger tire wall here. So whether or not this is going to play a part in the handling, I don't know, but it's kind of like this entire row of tread just feels super hard and super solid, like there's no foam in there at all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm not saying that it's going to work, that's not going to work. We'll see when we run it. Moving on to this little bag of goodies. We have a cross wrench here, we've got a couple of Allen keys, we got the USB charger for the included battery, and there's a little Phillips screwdriver in there for all the tiny little screws for you to work on the vehicle. That's really about it. Now, I don't know if you notice, but there's no manual. Now, I don't know if this is on purpose, or if, once again, reviewer's curse strikes Aussie RC Playground one more time, and I don't have a manual in mind. I looked through the box. Trust me, there is no manual. So I don't know what's happened here. There's no QR code to scan. It's not like they give you a quick start guide and scan this to get onto the manual. So I may have to jump on the HyperGo website and just have a look at some of the manuals there. Don't know what to tell you. I don't have exploded views, don't have anything. So yeah, a bit of an odd one, that one. Right, so starting off with the radio, this is one that I've not had on the channel before. It's actually it's a pretty good looking radio, to be honest with you. I only have a couple of things that I want to critique on this guy. First off is these little screws on the battery trays in transmitters. I don't think these are necessary in transmitters. These are okay if you're buying like those little toy cars from like Kmart or Target or whatever, Walmart for those of you overseas. And when you have a battery compartment like this that locks in with this like little lip, when you take little tumbles or go over rough terrain or whatever and the thing's bouncing around, you can dislodge this and the battery, the battery lid can open, and that's why they put those little screws there. But on a transmitter, this is completely unnecessary and incredibly annoying. Can we please stop doing that on transmitters? Thank you. Now, moving on to the rest of the transmitter, actually the grip feels really good, the trigger position feels really nice. It's probably a little light for my liking, but yeah, it's okay. The wheel feels also very light, not a lot of resistance here. The foam is nice and thick and it's nice and firm as well. Wheels got a little bit of a wobble to it, but nothing to really be concerned about. The only thing is the ergonomics of this. I don't know if you guys can pick this up, but this back section here should really be straight. Like this shouldn't dip down. So what's happening is, as I'm gripping this is actually putting pressure on the back of my hand right there. And like, I don't know if I'm gonna get used to this or if it's gonna become really annoying. Especially, you know, on hot days or whatever, you get a bit of sweating, you might end up with a blister back here. I think people with small hands are probably not gonna find this issue. I think it's only just people with big mitts like mine that, you know, where these little remotes will kind of hit back here. So it's a slight design change. Rather than having this dip down, just go straight across to the corner here and eliminate that problem. It's very, very simple. But anyway, aside from that, everything else feels okay. No collapsible antennas, which is always a plus. And then we lift this guy up, which locks into place like so. And we've actually got some pretty good adjustments here. We have what I believe is a LED button to turn the LEDs on and off. Reverse switches here for your steering and throttle. We got steering trim, throttle trim, steering dual rate, and throttle dual rate, which is always a big plus because it allows you to sort of control the top speed of the vehicle and allows little young ones to have a go, or people that are less experienced. On and off switches back here, and then the lid just locks into place like that. No real complaints here, as long as there's no like delays or funny range issues or anything like that. I think the radio will do just fine. So moving on to the truck itself, what a gorgeous little machine that MJX have done here. I don't know how I feel about the headlights. I almost feel like they should be like squared or maybe a different shape. That's kind of weird to have these little bug eye headlights. A minor complaint. I don't think anyone's really going to really care, especially when you're bashing this thing around. But it does have LEDs also behind the grille, which is also very cool. A couple of drivers in there, some roof skids. Of course, we do have body pin retainers with this one. Very, very cool. Nice big bumper on the back here with the built-in wheelie bar. Very nice. We've also got some plastic pieces here. I don't believe that these lock into anything, but they do secure. Actually, these are linked to the plastic cover that you see inside here. So it kind of helps keep everything in place, and I'll show you that in a little bit more detail in just a sec. And then of course we have a nice big beefy bumper on the front here, which is always welcome. I'm not know if that's supposed to be, if the bumper is supposed to be behind the body or the body in front of the bumper. I'm not entirely sure. All right, so there we go. That's the body. Suspension wise, it feels really good, but very soft. A lot of travel for such a tiny little car. This has a lot of travel. So I think it's going to handle a little bit like a mini Mojave, maybe. Now you will notice that of course it's sagging quite a bit in the rear. I'm going to have to wind down the shock collars to try and bring that up a little bit. Some people might like that look, but I don't know. I prefer it to sit a tiny bit more level, a bit more like that, rather than like that. That's just my preference. So let's take the body off. Just pop these body pins off real easy. Now this does come tethered with a cable to the receiver. So when you take the body off for the first time, take a breath and just be very careful when you pop this off, because you are going to pull on that wire. Now I have already removed mine for the purposes of this unboxing, but when you get yours, don't just yank the body clean off. You're going to potentially damage this, okay? That's one thing that I think the MJX could perhaps improve on, is either give us like a coiled wire that will allow us to kind of stretch and, you know, recoil back in, or maybe find a way to power the lights separately, you know, with some kind of metal connector somewhere. So that would be something that I'd like to see from them, but you know, this is okay, I suppose. You just have to be mindful that this is going to be connected to the actual chassis. Now you can see here where these little plastic pieces come into play. There is a plastic bracket that runs all the way inside the body here and helps keep this plastic piece, which is, you know, your cockpit and so forth, but also acts as a shield for the chassis. So against debris and things like that, you'll notice it's got a little bit of a cover on the front. you know, not as elaborate as what you'd find on the armor vehicles and so forth, but then again, this is potentially a lot cheaper than that as well. So I guess it's priced accordingly. So there we go, that's the body. Feels pretty good, nice and strong and thick. And of course, you've got all your LEDs and everything mounted up on the front here, which looks really good. No rear LEDs that I can see, so no red light or anything like that anywhere on the body. Pop that guy aside and let's have a look at this beautiful car right here. Now, if you've seen some of the other MJX cars, this is going to look very similar. I did the MJX rally car, the little Citroen car, not too long ago. And I thought that this would be a shared chassis, but this is actually a longer chassis. So there's a couple of components here that have swapped around and got a bit more room to so forth. It's a little bit different, but for the most part, it's very similar, you know, in the way that it's laid out and everything. So we'll start at the back here. You can see that it's got this big beefy bumper. We've got the wheels there for the wheelie bar. I think that's going to take a few good hits. It should be okay. Body posts also have a bit of flex. We have, I believe, a second adjustment on the shock tower just there. And I think there might be one, oh, no, maybe not. I was going to say there might be one on the A-arms, but it doesn't look like it. The A-arms are all solid too, by the way. Beautiful chassis, as you can see there. Nice beefy front bumper right there. Very nice. Very little flex on the front. So when this takes a hit, there's really nothing to kind of absorb the impact. It's just going to go straight to the bulkhead, which, to be fair, it's mounted right behind this tower-to-tower brace, which I think is going to take a lot of that impact, and it's going to be just fine. You know, this is a lightweight car. It's not a heavy vehicle. I think it'll be fine. I think. Let's hope. That's my theory anyway. So as I said, suspension feels really plush, and it's got a lot of travel for such a tiny little truck. So I think it's going to do well. Now, the shocks, I believe, are plastic bodied. So you've got aluminium caps and on top and bottom, but then the bodies themselves are plastic. This may or may not create a problem. As long as these don't strip out, the shock caps don't strip out, I think we'll be okay. Given it's a short course truck, you're unlikely to do that. Usually with open wheel vehicles, you can overstretch your travel quite a bit because the wheels can get caught up in cartwheels and so forth. But when you've got a big body over the top of them, it's unlikely. I'm not saying that it's not impossible, but it's just less likely to happen. And then of course you'll see here just behind the shock tower we've got our gyro, which is adjustable. So you can tweak that to your liking there. We have adjustable toe links just here, and the drive shafts, I'll show you these. These guys are actually metal and they're telescopic. So they're very cool. I don't mind these drive shafts at all. And it's the same thing on the rear, same drive shafts on the rear as well. As I said, this is a 4400 kV motor. I think this was a 45 MPSC from memory, and this is 2 to 3S capable. It does come with Dean's connectors. Motor has a fan built in. ESC does not, it does have a fan, I beg your pardon. There's a fan in there as well. Receiver's just mounted on the side here with a really tiny little antenna just sticking out there, and we've got a push button on and off switch just here, which looks really good. And of course you got your steering servo mounted upside down for your steering column there, and you can see there's actually a bit of aluminium in there as well, which is good for that it looks like a servo saver. So that's pretty cool. And the same thing on the other side just there as well. The battery that's included with this is a 2S LiPo, but here's where it gets good. It's a 3000 milliamp 25C. Now that is huge for a ready to run. Most ready to runs would come with like, I don't know, maybe a 1500, 1200, maybe a 2000 on a good day. To get 3000 milliamps on a car like this right out the box, they should give us pretty long run times on a car this size. But we'll see. Pretty chubby 2-cell LiPo right there. It's almost the same thickness as a 3S, to be honest, which makes sense because this is a big milliamp battery. So that is pretty much it for this little guy. Metal drive shaft going right through there, as I said. And I think I've covered pretty much everything. You can see that it's got aluminium hinge pin holders on the front, and it does seem to have, maybe not on the back, it's got them on the rear of the rear arms, but not on the front. I think the front pins might go into this plastic piece here, which houses your gearing. So that's why they didn't do the alloy ones in there. So hopefully they hold up well, because it's a bit of disassembly to replace that. All right, so that's going to wrap this one up. Let's finish off this video. And there we go, that's the MJX Hyper Go 1/14 scale little desert truck, short course truck. Whichever way you look at it, I think this is a really cool looking RC. It's got a bunch of cool features, the lights, the gyros built in, it's brushed, it's got a 3000 milliamp battery included. Metal gears as well, by the way, in case I haven't mentioned that during the features part. I cannot wait to take this thing out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to drive this little guy around and just see how well it handles that BMX track. Now, before I go, I do want to give a big shout out to MJX for sending this out for review. They've been a long time supporter of the channel, and I do appreciate them reaching out to me to do this review. So thank you very much to them. Of course, stay tuned for more on this guy. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so. Don't forget to hit that like button before you go, and I'll be speaking to you all next time.